I'd like to make sure of is that Dan's chart was very helpful, and at some point, I think
I want to get to the recommendations.
Engaging it, because you've given extensive background on the levies, but some of the recommendations that are potentially inconsistent are on that, and we might want to actually talk about that. And so the background's good, but if we're going to, I'm fearful we'll get close to the end, and then
we'll speed it up right now.
We won't engage in those items that there's
Mr. Machado.
conflict.
If you would like, we could probably move to the proposals. I think there's 2 points that would probably want to be made. One is the reference to the impacts that they looked at in the ESP. Not so much as a
you want to do your chart summary, I would believe, to finish up the presentation.
Yes, and the emphasis on that is not so much because it highlights an individual. It shows, I think, what the magnitude of the impacts could be for the council to take into consideration when you start establishing policy. The second, I think there's some good points to be made from the recreational standpoint as to what the opportunities are, but what some of the limitations are.
All right, and
could we take 10 minutes to try to get to those 2 points and then go to proposals?
Just one suggestion also. We've had a number of presentations and question and references to the DREAMS program. Dr. Bhagavan is here. He's the senior engineer from flood management and active in that work. And I think he's got some information that he'd like to talk to about the slides. We can ask him questions on supplemental information that you might need and he might need. Doctor?
Mr. Chair, just as
yes,
Dr. Scott, I want to point out that, again, I certainly in deference to everybody's schedules and having good exchange here, I'm going to be kind of strong on this point, though. I think it's important not to have every slide and spend 10 minutes on every slide. Dr. Michael, Mr. Machado, and any of the other folks need an opportunity to complete the presentation, and so we get the full picture, because this is the opportunity that was offered. I agree that we were under a time frame this evening, but I would ask, and if Mike, you can do it in 10 minutes, fine. I would just say if you need 20 minutes, from my view, take it, because this is the opportunity from once we leave this hearing. It's going back into the organization to begin the work, and I think we need to hear from the public and from members of this body. And if we've got till 6:30, we don't need to use all that time, but I think we need to, again, allow the opportunity. And so I would just stress that, and not to have them feel too rushed in trying to get this presentation out, because this is important as all aspects of this Delta plan, and I just think we need to give that opportunity. And so I would just ask that we have a little more consideration at that time. Thanks.
What's our time frame for fully considering and resolving this, or what is it that you need from the council members who are here?
In particular, the things we probably would like to do is make sure that we cover those issues where staff is recommending against immediate inclusion. Although I think we may, some of the things.
I'll just say, if we're going to the 38 recommendations, I want to treat each one with the respect it deserves. I at least want to talk, even if there's no comment, no question, no concern.
Well, actually, what I'm asking, given what Don said, is I don't want to fast track something that's important either.
In that case, we may want to adjourn at 5 and come back tomorrow morning and really spend time. If we're going to go through each and every one of the recommendations and do the thorough analysis, I think that may take another several hours, and so I'm not opposed to that.
Right, and so, and I know this was the time set aside this week. Does that mean that we can't, or we have other things to do, or you don't want to do it at a later date too?
Will, at the next meeting, these issues will come back as part of an integrated discussion with the comments on the fifth draft and the comments on the EIR. So my expectation is you will hear what staff recommends on these issues at the next meeting in any event.
Yeah, so, I think from my point of view too, certainly on the levy issues, people could argue isolated conveyance versus other alternatives. My impression, that's a decision that largely is going to be handled through the BDCP, not through your plan. we'll see where they end up. There's a variety of factors that involved in that. I think it would be, obviously, the extent of investments in levies for a public safety point of view is an issue, and there's no reason we couldn't gather additional information that would respond to questions y'all might have and bring that back as part of consideration of a next discussion of the Delta plan. There'll probably some other issues that are also high priorities like that you want to focus more time on, and if we can go through and identify those and identify the additional information that would help you all make a decision, then we could bring those back as focused discussions when we get to those aspects of a revised Delta plan before you for adoption. That would be another way to approach it. Use this as a way to go through and target those issues that really capture your interest and what additional information would be helpful to you.
Let's get